so important to be in the right environment so you can prosper and become the best version of yourself.
Every time I've let you in, you've let me down.
Particularly love them on Sunday afternoons. I wish they'd play every Sunday. Friend has been hit by the big blue fella. Galloway, was it?
Yep, Galloway. It's a bit of a mismatch, isn't it?
It is, you're right. It is David and Goliath, but Keith, Big Keithy, as Gus called him, Big Red.
Nothing friendly about that. That's a shot. He's all right. Jake's up. He's as tough as they come.
Look at him, Big Keithy. Love Big Keithy.
Our guest today played over 200 NRL games for two NRL clubs, Cronulla Sharks and the West Tigers, before moving to England with the Lead Rhinos. Represented City Origin, New South Wales and Australia, and had a reputation as a tough tackling, hard running forward. Keith, welcome to Titan Muscle and Mind. You must have loved Rabs and Sterlo giving you big raps there. Big fans of yours.
Yeah, a few memories. Mate, thanks for having me. It's good to catch up and be on, mate.
Mate, you've obviously, I remember you playing for the Cronulla Sharks. I remember when you moved over to the Tigers, you unfortunately missed out on the 2005 grand final. You went there in 2006. You've probably had a lot of opportunities to win a few there after that. What was it like, obviously? Tell us a little bit about where you started your junior footy.
Yeah, well, mate, I'm local sort of St. George boy, so I started the Brighton Seagulls when I was really young, under 7s and 8s. And then I went over to Mascot Jets in the South Comp, so I spent about 4 or 5 years there. I think I was about 13 or 14 and ended up going over to the Cronulla Comp. Joined the Arrowwarra Tigers and mate, I sort of ended up playing the junior reps there and ended up getting graded. Matthews Cup, SG Ball, and ended up sort of started my first grade career at the Sharks.
Sharks, beautiful. And how old were you when you made your debut there at the Cronulla Sharks?
Yeah, mate, I was pretty young. I was 17. I was still at school at Coogee. The Sharks were having a pretty tough year, so a few of us young guys sort of got a start. So, yeah, back then I was 17. I don't think they sort of, I don't think kids they sort of throw them in too young now. But yeah, back then, mate, it was a big thrill. I think it was me and Reece Williams. He was 17 as well, so it was a big thrill for us.
I seen one of your posts the other day, and it was 2003 or 4 where you played Australian school footy. There was a few great players there that you played with.
Yeah, mate, sort of junior reps. There was, you sort of play with these blokes when you're young and go through the grades together. And I think that was the Junior Kangaroos, 2004, I think it was. But mate, there was plenty of good players in that team.
And during your career coming through the reps and then representing Cronulla, how hard was it to transition and make it through that? Like, obviously there's a lot of young kids. It's not that easy to make grade. You made it at 17. You must have put in a lot of hard work. Were you always a natural and gifted footy player, or did you have to put in the work?
Oh, mate, definitely had to put in work. I was probably I was one of the sort of better players going through the grades as a kid, but mate, there was plenty of other good footballers probably better than me that didn't kick on. You sort of need to work hard, and I remember as a young kid, when I was going through sort of those junior rep teams, I never used to drink alcohol, and I was motivated. I'd train hard, and you give up a lot. You sort of, all your friends are going out on weekends to house parties and stuff like that, but I remember sort of not getting involved in any of that stuff to try and football was a priority, so I worked hard to get there.
As a kid, were you sort of like going, it's got to be football, there's nothing else in my life, like I'm not going to focus on anything else but making it in rugby league? Because I know a lot of people that go to that next level can't really think of anything else but really going for it.
Mate, obviously I wanted to make it. I tried hard at school. I wasn't what you'd call an academic, but I turned up and I tried hard. So, mate, if I wasn't a footballer, I would have tried. If I didn't end up making it, I would have got a job young and worked hard at that as well.
Yeah. So you're playing for Cronulla. How many seasons did you play over there?
So I debuted in 2003 while I was at school, and then I was in the full-time squad 2004, 2005.
2005. And then, obviously, your next move is to the Tigers. And you had a pretty long, sort of illustrious career there. What was that like in... here we go. This is a fight with the rivals. Is it Cronulla? What was that like? Can you take us through that?
Who's that bloke with hair, mate? It's not me, is it?
Are you taller than him?
Probably, mate. Probably just. Yeah, mate, I was a massive Dragons fan growing up, and that was at Coogee, so I probably would have been a bit fired up, mate.
And there's always a big rivalry between the Dragons and the Sharks, right? It's well known for that.
Yeah, mate, the local derby, you know, obviously. Not throwing them too
well. Were you trying to make a statement here earlier in your career? Because you're known for being a hard man.
Oh, mate, Jason Reynolds. He was one of the best props in the game. I don't know, mate. He's someone I always looked up to, obviously, but I think we're just holding on to each other at the scrum, and obviously you can't take a backward step, you know.
So you've moved on to the Tigers, right? Obviously, actually, wait a second. Let's just have a look at this Hopewadi hit. Now, take us through this. Obviously, this is the longest suspension in rugby league, 17 weeks for John Hopewadi. I actually remember watching this game because I do go for Manly. Tell us, well, there was nothing going through your mind here. You're clearly knocked out. What was it like back then? Obviously, you know, you copped that hit. Tell us what happens after this. Like, he gets a 7-week suspension. There's a lot of media around it. What was it like for you?
Yeah, mate, I obviously don't remember it happening. Obviously, I've seen videos and people talk about it, but mate, it was a bit embarrassing, to be honest. You know, having to sort of be on the news, and mate, I still sort of get people come up, you know, being a bit of smart asses and stuff talking about it. But mate, it was pretty. I suppose it was pretty. It's not a good look for our game at all. So I think definitely deserved that suspension because, mate, if that was my kid on the end of that, I wouldn't have been happy, you know. So.
Yeah, and it's more so the media attention thereafter that has more of an effect because they just keep going on about it, right? That where like you go like, fuck, mate, can you just sort of, you know, hold back? Because at the end of the day, even though that happens, they don't want to keep harping on it and putting that image out.
Yeah, it's probably not a good look for our game, but I suppose it probably shows sort of players what you shouldn't be doing.
100%.
Yeah, we don't need that in our game, and thankfully we sort of haven't seen too much of that since.
Yeah. When you moved on to the Tigers, what was the difference between what made you want to move to the Tigers first of all?
Mate, sort of halfway through 05, I was off contract at the Sharks. I was talking to a few clubs. I was actually talking at South at that stage. Tigers were keen as well, and mate, there was just a heap. I remember a heap of young blokes at the Tigers about the same age as me. You know, like Benji Marshall, Robbie Farah, Liam Fulton, Bryce Gibbs. You know, there was heaps of them, and sort of played junior reps with a lot of these guys, Bronson Harrison, and you know, I thought, you know, I'm going to jump into a young team here, and you know, in a few years' time, we might be good to grow with this team. But so I signed with them halfway through the year, and they ended up, you know, finishing that year and winning the comp. But, you know, that was the reason I sort of come over. And obviously Tim Sheens was there. You know, Tim Sheens has done it all in the game. And I spoke to him about joining, and, you know, he sounded really keen to have me on board. So that was probably the reason I chose Tigers.
Tell us a little bit about Tim Sheens. Obviously he's had one hell of a career. You know, he's been at the Raiders, Cowboys, the Tigers. He's had success at almost every club he's been at. What was he like as a coach?
Yeah, well, mate, he lives and breathes rugby league. Mate, he just, you know, you learn stuff all the time from him at training and stuff like that. You know, his game plans were specific for each team. Mate, I just pretty much went there and I learned a lot playing underneath him.
Yeah. As being there with Tim Sheens, when you look at coaching now, right, and obviously you haven't gone into that, what does it take to be a good coach? Obviously, they put in a lot of work and they obviously make your job easier when you get out on the field because they focus on the game plan. What makes a good coach?
Mate, I think they sort of have to. They got, like, you know, you talk about a player being, you know, everything's about being a player. Like with rugby league, you got to be that dedicated. But I think coaches go to the next level. Like they live and breathe it. They're on the chopping board every week if they lose, more so than the players. Mate, I think they watch video after video after video. They study and analyse every team, and obviously want to come up with game plans and plays that'll make the difference.
As a rugby league player and as an individual, how was he able to help your game while you were there?
Mate, just different pointers at training. You know, he was real individual. He'd pull you aside and tell you what you're doing well and what you need to work on, and you know, without disrespect to past coaches, I never really had that.
Yeah.
And mate, I just learned a heap under him. Just different ways to run the ball, different angles, just stuff like that.
And what was his like? You know, they talk a lot about man management. A good coach can manage his players, right? How important do you think that side of it is? Because you get a game plan, but then how important is the managing of players? Obviously, he's had a lot of young players, and you had Benji Marshall, you had Robbie Farah, you had a lot of strong personalities in the team. How important is it for a coach to be able to manage those egos and those players?
Oh, it's very important. You know, like, obviously you're a team, but there's 17 players playing each weekend. They're all 17 different individuals.
Yeah.
Everyone's different, so a coach has always got to keep everyone in check and work to people's strengths and help their weaknesses.
Yeah. So there was a few years there, I think it was 2011, where you guys were the favourites to really take it out. He's had a star-studded lineup.
Yeah.
You had Gareth Fellis there, and he's had some great players. Benji was at his peak. Robbie Farah was at his peak. What was the pressure like that year?
I think 2010, 2011 were 2 years we really, we were right there at the end, playing semi-final football. We're right up there. I don't know if we're favourites, but we're definitely right in contention. Mate, it was probably, looking back, it's probably missed opportunities. I was unfortunate. I didn't win an NRL competition in Australia, and if them 2 years would have been, if it was ever going to happen, would have been those 2 years.
When I look at any sport, when you look at life in general, there's always the added pressure of whether you work in a job 9 to 5, whether you work playing rugby league, whether you're just an everyday person. There's pressure. Back then, what did you do to deal with pressure the best possible way you could, knowing that you're such a pivotal player in your team?
Yeah, mate. I suppose pressure comes in, especially being in the limelight. Playing NRL, it's probably the biggest sport. Well, definitely New South Wales, Queensland. Everyone's watching on TV. So, to be honest, I try to sort of shut it out because your job. You can only go there and do your best. If you work hard enough, that's all you can do. I suppose later in my career, I figured that out. Early on, I'd probably be a bit hard on myself if I didn't play too well or stuff like that. But you train hard, you work hard, and you go there and give it your best. That's all you can do at the end of the day.
And obviously, like within anything that you do in life, right, there's always complacency that sets in, right? So, like, even if I was at the gym today and had a good workout, I ate right, whatever, in the back of your mind, you go, fuck, I've done well, and you start getting complacent. What I've noticed in any sport, complacency sets in. You read the media, you read what people are saying about you. Even when you're playing good and you see coaches trying to hose it down so that way you don't live in that moment and you focus on what's ahead. How much does that play a role in the performance of a player?
Yeah, well, I suppose, mate, you can't, obviously complacency sets in, but mate, you can't, being at a top level sport, you can't afford to, otherwise you're going to get found out. I suppose as an individual, you've got to work hard away. It's everything. It's diet, sleep. Yep. If you need to do extra sessions and away from the team, mate, you can never sort of get too complacent because you get found out.
During your career, obviously, there's always things you look back at that you could have, possibly done better. Is there any part of your career where you go, I could have probably worked, more on my recovery, or could have worked better with the coaches, or could have worked better with the players? Do you look back at that?
Yeah, mate, I probably could have looked after my body a lot better. I wish I stretched a lot more.
Yeah.
I was unfortunate. I got a fair few injuries playing the game, but if I was sort of doing all my prehab and stretching, it probably would have helped me out a fair bit more.
You had a reputation as a big hitter. When you went on the field, did you have that from a young age, or was that something that came with your game as you sort of got older?
Oh, Oh, mate, I don't know. I don't know if I have the reputation. I just sort of try to go out there and, occasionally you get angry and you try and put a shot on to lift your team or do something, or run hard, But yeah, it's probably just front row. You've probably got the most physical job in the team. You lead the team forward and trying to stop their big men. So it probably comes from that.
Gus Gould was a big fan of yours. You probably know that, yeah. You remember this game? He's watching you, Gammon Badger.
Single me out.
I remember him from the South Sydney Juniors. I remember he was referee. He was refereeing me back in the day. So
there you go.
It definitely brings the best players out. So you finish up at the West Tigers. How did that trial feel there?
Wasn't a try, was it?
You didn't score many tries back in the day.
Lucky to get one a year.
Oh, it was Takiri. Didn't you play with Takiri? He was at Tigers before he went to
Lottie
South. Does that feel like yesterday or like a lifetime ago?
It feels like a while ago, but
when was the last time you watched footage like this of yourself?
not for ages. Yeah, I put it on for my son every now and then to try and, but yeah, he's not interested.
Yeah. Obviously, you were clean shaven back then. Went up the top.
Yeah. It's that shoulder brace.
They can't. You see, that's how much Gus Gould liked you. They can't take it off him.
That's all, mate.
You know. It's funny. I remember the commentary back then. Rabs and Gus. I've never seen those guys that excited since you left the game.
Yeah, I don't know what it was, eh?
I honestly, I used to remember back in the day, mate, these guys love Keith. Decision pending. No try. I wouldn't have been happy about that. So, what year did you leave the Sharks to go overseas to play for the Leeds Rhinos?
The Tigers, yeah. So I finished 15 was my last year at the Tigers.
15.
And I decided to go over and sign with Leeds in the Super League.
What made you move on?
I had 1 year to go at the Tigers, but a couple of us, I think, I got asked if I think they had salary cap issues, or they're trying to, move a couple of us older blokes on, and I've always had a British passport because Dad's Scottish, so it's something I always wanted to do, sort of play over there, and the opportunity came to, and Leeds. There was a few clubs, but Leeds is a big club over there. I've been there before. It's a good place to, it's a good city. It would have been a good place to live, and all those sort of ticked all those boxes. Obviously the travel and stuff that came with living over there as well. So decided to go over there.
Actually, he's a big Liverpool fan. I've got to ask him that.
Yeah, when I watched...
what was that like, watching...
It's just good, mate. Obviously, watching sort of the soccer from back here, you got to wake up or stay awake or wake up at weird, times and hours. So I went up and watched Liverpool play a few times. I went up and watched Celtic a few times because I'm a big Celtic fan as well.
I noticed that on your page.
Yeah, and mate, even on TV, watching soccer, coming on a Saturday arbor or a Saturday night, during the week, there's always games on at good times.
What made you have you always gone for Liverpool?
So I've always been a Celtic fan ever since I was a kid. Obviously, being sort of half Scottish, but I remember one game as a kid watching Liverpool and Celtic play. They both sang "You'll Never Walk Alone" before the game. Yeah. It was like a Champions League game when I was young, and both sets of fans were belting it out, and I decided to pick Liverpool as my English team.
Wow, well, you picked a good side.
Yeah, definitely, mate.
You see, I started going for Liverpool back in the 80s, but I never told anyone. So when I came out this year, no one believed me, Keith.
Come out.
When I started talking about it this year, no one believes me, but well, you know I'm a big Manly fan.
Yeah, unfortunately, but that's all right, mate. I've known that for a long time, so that's all right, mate.
And so, was that about the time Tim Sheens was leaving as well? When did Tim?
No. So Tim Sheens, after 2012, I think Tim Sheens left the Tigers.
Yeah.
So I did 13 under Mick Potter,
Yeah.
and then I think I did 14 and 15, or Mick Potter might have been there for 2 years, and then I had a year under. Yeah, Mick Potter was there for 2 years, and I had a year under Jason Taylor,
Oh yeah.
and then went over to England.
Yeah. When you went to the Leeds Rhinos, what was it? What was the English Super League like as opposed to the NRL?
Yeah, they probably, the crowds are unreal. The crowds are they're nuts over there. They probably chance their arm a bit more, throw the ball around a bit more. It's physical. It's very physical over there. Obviously, NRL's the cream of the crop when it comes to rugby league competition. But I enjoyed it. It was something different. Sort of look as a spectator now. I probably enjoy watching the Super League a little bit more than I enjoy watching the NRL. To be honest,
Is it because it's just more free flowing? There's a lot more action.
yeah, a bit more free throwing. I suppose in the NRL, in a way, they've just become robots. They don't want to make mistakes. They kicked it. Obviously, it's not. You get your freakish plays and all that sort of stuff. But I suppose Super League, it's just a bit more free throwing and stuff like that.
You played for New South Wales. Okay, what's this award here? Your life membership at the Tigers. What was that like?
Yeah, that was a big honour, mate. They gave it to me last year.
Obviously, I guess so many years, probably just doing the tough stuff in the middle there, both of you. I guess to get recognition probably isn't something you're always used to, but well deserved tonight, I guess.
Yeah, no, it's good, mate. It's good. Two front rowers got there on the same night, so mate, it's it's a massive honour.
Bryce, you spoke quite eloquently on stage about you're really pleased the direction the club's heading in. I guess talk to us about what you mean by that.
I'm really happy the way Ivan's going.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, no, I didn't expect it. I sort of spent 10 seasons at the club. It's the club I sort of support now, and they've got a big place in my heart now.
And you've still got a lot of friends there.
Yeah, definitely.
Obviously, Robbie and both Benji are still there. What's it like watching those guys still go around?
Mate, I don't know how they're still doing it. They're obviously the same sort of age, but mate, they're still playing, training every day, and backing up. At that top level, it's amazing.
And it's pretty ironic that they were unwanted by the club. They've come back, and they've both this year played their 300th in the NRL.
Yeah, just sort of a game or two apart from each other as well. They're massive for the club, and I don't know how much the club means to them as well. So it's fitting, and they thoroughly both deserve to finish or to make their 300 at the club that they love.
So you represented New South Wales as well. Like everyone talks about State of Origin being, the fastest game there is in rugby league. What was that like? What was that like playing State of Origin, and did you expect it to be that fast?
Oh mate, so it was 2011. I got called up for game 3. So yeah, mate, I only played the one game, but it was the fastest game I've ever played in by far. I suppose you got the best sort of rugby league players in the country go and hammer it toe at each other, and everyone knows how big the rivalry is, and mate, the speed of the game was lightning fast.
Yeah. You're just looking at Leeds. This is when you've jumped over to the Leeds Rhinos press conference. How did you feel up there?
Yeah, mate, it's a bit of a culture shock when you first get there. Obviously, all the accents and that are a bit different, but mate, they're lovely people up there. They love their rugby league. A very welcoming club, mate. It's a very well-run club.
And obviously, the weather conditions are completely different. What was the coldest weather you played in while you were there?
So one day I woke up, I think it was April, so that's autumn time over there, and springtime, sorry, over there. And mate, it was snow. I looked outside and it was snowing. We had to play that night. So mate, the field that's the field there behind us, Headingley Stadium, but it's obviously heated underground. But we were playing and there's all snow on the side of the field and stuff like that.
So it's pretty cold. How does that compare to the NRL? Obviously, we play winter comp and the weather conditions are completely different there. How does that affect the players?
I suppose, well, the players over there are obviously used to it, but and obviously, balls, it's that wet and cold. The ball security's that isn't like an Aussie coming over there. You got to sort of watch holding the ball and all that sort of stuff, playing wet weather footy all the time. But mate, it's a summer competition over there, so the start of the comp is cold and wet. But then once the summer months come out, we played games at 8 o'clock at night. You'd finish the game at 9:40 and the sun's still out.
Wow.
And it feels like you're playing, in the afternoon or the middle of the day. So,
it was a great, it was a fruitful sort of experience there being in England.
Yeah, definitely, mate. I really enjoyed it. I lovely people up there in the north of England. Met some good friends over there, and yeah, I'd definitely recommend it to sort of players looking to go over there.
You also represented Australia as well. What was that like, representing your country?
Yeah, mate, that was massive honours. Obviously, a very proud moment for myself and my family. That was 2011, so it was the year I played Origin. And the end of that year, I was fortunate enough to go on the tour, which was over there in England. So I've got to, I've been to Leeds and places like that before, but obviously I've got a feel for the sort of the play, and then what was it, 5 or 6 years later, I decided to go over there. Yeah.
I'm just going to read a quote from Mick Potter.
Okay.
You'll probably know about this anyway. Keith consistently makes the most meters, which gives the team that much needed go forward. He definitely has a presence on the field. Being a big man, he stops people on contact. What does it feel like when, people like your ex-coach Mick Potter, people like Gus Gould, Rabs, talking about you in such high regard? What does that make you? Did you think you were doing anything special, or did you just think you were doing your job?
Oh, mate, obviously I was just doing my job. I think that's everyone's sort of job to what he described there. So, obviously had a job at the Tigers, and I did it for a fair few years. So, but it's obviously nice reading that from a former coach.
Obviously, going over to the Lead Rhinos, it had its ups and it had its downs, right? You ruptured your Achilles tendon, which is extremely tough injury to come back from. In the second last game of the first season, is that why you decided to leave early, or?
Well, mate, that was the first year I was there, so I sort of played pretty much the whole year. In the second last game of the year, I ruptured my Achilles went on me. I had a 3-year contract, so it was pretty hard coming back from that. I'd never had, you always hear Achilles ruptures are a pretty serious injury. But, I worked hard and actually made it back to playing the next year, and I came back and I don't know if I played about 3 months, but I was starting to feel really fit and not fast, definitely not fast, but fit and healthy. And then, unfortunately, the other one went on me after a few months. So, mate, it was pretty daunting. It was pretty hard to sort of come back from 2 of those. I tried for a while, but it was probably the body sort of telling me that you've been there for a while and you've probably had enough.
Yeah. When you look at the game today, from the grassroots, we're not getting as many players coming through the grades. Like back in our day, you had the Mascot comp, Cronulla comp, St. George comp. They've now all amalgamated.
Yeah.
Where do you see rugby league going in the next 10 years? Because we're not getting the same amount of players coming through anymore.
Oh, mate, I think it's still a really strong product. Mate, you just have to. I sort of, if I watch the games these days, I'm amazed at what the current crop of players are doing. So there is obviously talent coming through, and I think it continues to grow and get stronger and stronger. So, but mate, I know what you mean. A lot of sort of kids aren't sort of playing as many kids aren't sort of playing, especially in coming around like these sort of parts of the world, like Mascot and Brian Seagulls. Mate, back in like 10, 20 years ago, they used to have teams in every age group, but obviously it's not happening. I don't know if that means a lot of kids are sort of moving out into the western suburb. Families are moving out west or stuff like that. But I think the game will get stronger and stronger anyways.
Look, I love the game, but I just, when I was a kid growing up, obviously, you'd see so many more players coming through. But in saying that, the talent that's on the field is quite amazing. Like when you look at it, the players and what they can do on the field now is unbelievable. Obviously, there's been a lot of rule changes as well, and rightfully so, to make the game safer, especially concussion. You know, around the concussion rule, what do you think about that rule coming into the game, and how important is it?
Oh, mate, it's very important, extremely important. Mate, we watched that video before with the Hopper hit. Mate, I was having headaches for a month after that.
Wow.
So, mate, I'd see Liam Fulton up there. He's a good close mate of mine. He had to retire from concussions.
Jeez.
He had three in 1 year. Mate, we just, hope it's, we sign up to play this sport. We know what comes with it, but you just definitely hope that, going forward that continues to be as safe as possible.
I guess if that concussion rule was in now, they probably would have given him more time off the field.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean? Like
I did. Well, I think after that Hopper hit, I think I had about a month. I was still,
wow.
it took me a fair while to come back from that. But I know they're pretty strict with their concussion rules, and if you get concussed, even coming back on the field or playing the next week. So they're definitely heading in the right direction.
How much do you still love the game?
I love it. Yeah, probably. To be honest, I don't watch it as much as I sort of thought I would when I retire. Just from work commitments, kids, stuff like that. But I still love the sport. It gave me a lot in life. Gave me a bit of a head start in life. So, mate, I've met a heap of good people. From the junior days to playing, even backroom staff, everything. So, mate, there's a lot of good people in the game, and mate, it's given me a lot.
Obviously, every player learns from someone. You've played amongst some great players. Who did you learn the most off that was a player? I know Tim Sheens taught you a lot, but who was someone that you learned so much from?
As a player, yeah, probably coming through, obviously early on at the Sharks, Jason Stevens was there. That was sort of blokes I was sort of, as a kid, I'd look up and go, geez, man, these guys, and then you're training next to them and playing with them. So people like Jason Stevens, Danny Nutley, Chris Beattie at the Sharks when I first started there. At the Tigers, John Scandalis, he was a tough leader, tough man, great bloke. And then when Gareth Ellis joined the club, and
he was tough.
He was tough as anything, mate. He was the nicest bloke you'd ever meet off the field. And then he walked over that white line and he just turned into an animal, a savage. So he was, I'd seen how he conducted himself and played. Probably someone like him, I'd probably say.
Yeah. You're a massive advocate of obviously mental health. Obviously, you see it, a lot in sport at the moment. Yeah.
Galloway in particular has actually been really at the forefront of that. So he's been organising a lot of the visits. So he comes out and he gets involved with all the kids and spends a lot of time with everyone.
You can get it. Coming here, it's a good reality check how hard people are having it in life, and see how much some kids are struggling in their families. So if I can spare a couple of hours whenever I can, it's the least I can do. How many push-ups?
Good to see you can still do some push-ups.
It's a person that they're familiar with because he does tend to come back on more than one occasion. So each visit gets that little bit warmer and everyone actually really does look forward to it.
Obviously, you see a lot more cases of mental health in rugby league now, more so than ever. It was probably a bit less back in your day, but obviously you've seen it within your teammates.
Yep.
What's the pressures like in the game? Obviously, this is something that's close to your heart, and there's a reason.
Yeah, mate. Well, just obviously playing rugby league, there's a lot of pressure on you and stuff like that. A lot of young kids would probably let it get to them and stuff like that. And mate, no one knows what people are going through, especially us men. We come from a history. Like, I remember growing up, you don't show.
Yeah.
It's not. You got to be tough. You got to be this. You got to be that. I think society's getting better where men, we don't have to be these. We don't have to wear this mask. We can actually, if we got issues in that, we can talk about it. I hope we're heading in that direction anyway. It's unfortunately I've sort of experienced suicides in the past from mental health issues, and mate, it's just people need to talk about stuff. It's kids and people have their whole life ahead of them, and it's just sad that, you know, as a society, we just got to teach people we can talk and there's help out there, you know.
So you've had a few close friends.
Oh well, mate. Yeah, we had a teammate at the Tigers. Unfortunately, committed. You know, a young Moses who was coming through the grades, and
I think I remember that.
yeah, unfortunately, he decided to commit suicide, which was a big shock to a lot of us. Extremely sad time. So.
I think it's very important. It's a subject in society, and it's so many of these things are preventable if we speak about it and get messages out there. Hopefully,
Is that around the time that happened?
Yeah, probably a year or two after it, I think. Yeah.
I guess the hardest part is managing. Obviously, there's a lot more in rugby league now where people can talk about it, but do you think it's still hard for people to come out and talk about it?
I guess so, but I think it comes from your upbringing and stuff like that. You know, people need to be felt comfortable. You know, I've had dark times in the past, but I've sought help and I've spoke to people about stuff. So, I just, we just need to encourage it.
Yeah,
doesn't matter how tough and hard you think you are, or mate, everyone's gonna go through issues. You know, obviously a lot of people's things are worse than other, and you know, some people go through really tough times. But if we can sort of encourage and help each other to sort of seek help, it's out there, you know.
I guess especially in rugby league, when you're coming through and all the pressure's on you, and you're trying to make it for yourself, but you don't want to let the people that have supported you to get you there, and you don't want to let them down. So there's a whole weight, on your shoulders of the expectations of those around you, and it does affect you, and it makes it hard. And sometimes it's hard for the players to, tell their parents and tell the people that support them, like, I don't think I can do this anymore.
Oh, definitely. It is tough out there, but I suppose you just got to be supportive. You've got to support your mates or your kids or whatever it is, and encourage them to do their best. It's not, if you don't make it in footy, or you didn't have a bad, or you made it but you had a bad game, or you didn't, you played a few games and you can't kick on. You've tried your best. Like there's a big whole world. Rugby league's only to me personally, rugby league's only a small part of my life. There's a lot more in my life than rugby league or being a rugby league player.
So post rugby league, obviously, a lot of players tend to go into coaching or play some sort of role in rugby league. Obviously, you've kind of stepped right away. How has that been post rugby league? Has that been hard transitioning into a different career, or did you kind of had your mindset of going, I'm just going to remove myself from rugby league?
Yeah, I probably had the mindset that I wouldn't work in rugby league. I thought about maybe being a welfare officer or something like that, but mate, I was never obsessed with the game of rugby league. I played it, I enjoyed it, but these sort of, a lot of people live and breathe rugby league. So I think those sort of people obviously are probably more suited to sort of being in a coaching role or whatever. But I was ready to sort of step away from the game and just blend into sort of normal, have a sort of normal job. I didn't, to be honest, I didn't like the limelight too much that comes with rugby league. So I was looking forward to sort of getting away from it.
And like these days, you see so many opportunities for rugby league players to do courses while they're playing the game. Was that around when you were playing?
Yeah.
Or was it coming towards the end?
No, there was definitely always opportunities. I did a few courses, but there was guys in my team that were doing university courses and degrees, and there was guys doing trades. I did a social work course. I did a personal trainers course. I did a business management course. So there's, and it's all sort of funded by the NRL and the RLPA. So there's a lot of opportunities out there if you sort of, but obviously it's got to be on you. They can sort of lead you to it, but it's up to the individual to sort of really take charge of it too.
Tell us what's going on here. You got more hair. You look younger. What are you doing here?
That's at my old school, Coogee.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, it wasn't while I was at school, but I think I went back there for an interview.
Yeah. How old were you there?
When did I start? I started shaving my head at 26, so you can see I'm receding a little bit there. So it would have been maybe 24.
Was Coogee known for like bringing good players through, or were you just the lucky one?
Probably a bit better than James Cook. But no, I don't know, mate. We had a few. Jason Stevens, went there.
You know when we were good? We were good in the early 90s, late 80s, because it was a sports school. We had Brian Smith come out of there.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But you got
Ian Herron, Kurt Landers.
Ian Herron, yeah.
All those guys.
Yeah.
Brad Smith.
Jeff Hardy went there too, I think.
Jeff Hardy.
Where did Lance Thompson was at James Cook for a bit, but then he went to Kingsgrove.
Yeah.
Kingsgrove was known for the
Yeah, they were a sports school for a while too.
Yeah.
Footy.
Yeah.
I don't know, mate. We weren't at sports school or anything, but a few guys that are sort of. Josh Reynolds went to Coogee.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, Grubb went there.
Yeah.
There's been a few guys.
Grubb would have been a few.
Yeah, he was a bit younger than me. He
Yeah.
probably would have. When I was in year 11 or 12, he was in year 7 or 8. So
Yeah.
definitely, he was noisy though. You could hear him. He was
Yeah.
a loud little kid. Yeah.
So, post rugby league, how are you enjoying life?
Yeah, it's made him enjoying it. I've got a couple of young kids, so they obviously take up a fair bit of my time. Work on the wharves at Port Botany.
Yeah.
So bit of shift work and weekend work, but mate, you got to do something for work, and it's close to home, and met a few mates out there. So it's,
Good crew.
yeah, good crew, mate. All sort of knockabout, so it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
I guess it's similar to, when it was like rugby league.
Yeah, you definitely
the
got
banter.
that. Yeah, definitely a lot of banter.
Yeah.
You work in teams, so it's like a teamic. You sort of like a team sort of vibe. So, yeah, sort of good laugh on that.
Yeah. And what's anything big on the horizon? Like what are we what are you looking at doing next in the next chapter? You've got the wharfs there. Are you looking at anything else that you're going to do in the next chapter of your life, or are you just going? You're rolling with the punches now.
Yeah, a bit rolling with the punches. Just working, mate. I'm really enjoying watching my two young kids sort of grow up.
Yeah.
How
old are they?
My daughter's about to turn 3. My son's about to turn 5. So
what's that like?
Yeah, challenging at times, but and I'm a single dad, so it's sort of when I have them, it's a bit full on at times, but it's mate, it's enjoyable.
Keeps you grounded, right?
Yeah, it keeps you grounded, mate. You sort of everything's about them.
Yeah.
It
changes your priorities a lot.
Exactly, mate. Your life sort of everything you do is for them, so to say.
Yeah. And how old were you when you had kids? How old were you then?
I would have been about 29, I think.
29. Were you ready for it?
Yeah, I was ready for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, mate. My kids are my everything, man. So yeah.
Oh, that's good, Keith, mate. Well, what's this? Is this his favourite song?
It's Kingston, mate. That's my boy's name. So I
is it?
named Kingston after this song. Yeah.
So this was the song.
Kingston Town. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. My son loves it too. Yeah.
Loves this song.
What year was this song? What year was that?
It's an old song.
It's an old. I didn't mind this song, but what's your daughter's name? Was there a song for that too?
Her name's Aspen.
Aspen.
Yeah, after the the place in America. Yeah.
So you've been there as well?
No, I haven't been there. I haven't been to Kingston town in Jamaica either. But
I like that.
Maybe one day. But they both got destination names.
Ski?
Nah. I went to the snow in Canada, 2011, but I was too scared to sort of try it and get injured.
How's the ankles now?
Yeah, they're not too bad.
Yeah.
I'll go for a lot of walks. I don't really run too much.
Running,
Nah,
only for the kids.
Yeah, chasing after them. Yeah.
Well, Keith, it's been great having you. I think it's fitting that we're kind of finishing on Kingston Town, don't you reckon?
Yeah, it's a great song, mate.
Mate.
Also, any final words for the up and coming young players and what kind of mindset they've got to have and how to conduct themselves in rugby league, or should they take it seriously, or should they just relax and just make sure they just put the work in?
Yeah, mate. Obviously,
what advice would you give them,
mate? Mate. I had a really good career out of it. I worked hard, but rugby league, it's not everything. You can try hard. Hopefully you make it. Work hard to get there, but I think you need to have a few sort of different options in life too, because not everyone can be a rugby league player.
Yeah.
I got a lot of friends who probably a lot more successful than me in other parts of life too. So, mate, there's that many opportunities in life. If you try. So
don't put all your eggs in the one basket.
Exactly. Yeah.
Fantastic, Keith. Thanks for joining us. And, mate, I hope we took you down memory lane. We took you down Kingston Town.
Yeah, no, mate, it's been really enjoyable. It's good setup here. But, it's been fun. So thanks for having me on.
I appreciate it, bro. Thanks.
Sweet. Cheers.
Thanks
Thanks for coming.